Well, hello there, welcome to the Obi Florina Alliance. In today's video, we'll be reviewing Wonder Woman 1984. Happy New Year and hope 2021 will be a good year. Thank you. Just letting everyone know, did go into a little bit of spoilers, not too much, but a little bit because it has been out for a decent amount of time. So the first scene of the movie is we get to see Diana when she's 7 years old doing like an Olympic tournament round, and she is in the lead, and then she looking backwards instead of ahead, she falls off her horse, and then she sees a way that she could get the lead, but unfortunately her aunt stops her and then says you cheated, and then we basically learn from this that cutting corners isn't the right thing to do, but they kind of don't amplify this in the rest of the movie, and it kind of felt like they were. The scene's very cool and very worth watching. It was probably the best scene of the movie, the opening scene, but it kind of never came back and kind of felt, we were watching this cool scene, but it had no merit to it. So the first scene that we actually get to see Wonder Woman Diana is in the title of the movie in the 80s, and then we get to see all, shopping mall and things like that, and then you're thinking, oh, what's going to happen here? And then we see these criminals doing a robbery, but the funny thing is that who they're robbing from happens to be a female that's committing a crime as well. She's stealing artifacts and things like that, so they steal from her, and then Diana, Wonder Woman, appears and then takes them all out, and then one of them takes a child, and then Wonder Woman saves the child, and then we get this really cute scene that felt kind of pointless and, just for the sake of having this cute child that we never get to see again in the movie. And then she basically arrests all the four robbers, and then so the police don't see her face. She knocks out all the cameras, but people saw her in the shopping mall, so it's like she's trying to hide her identity, but she doesn't wear a mask. It's kind of strange with what she's doing. Talking a little bit more about the wishing stone, Maxis Lord has been finding the stone, and he wishes to become the stone, and we actually find out more about the wishing stone is that it's actually been through history, through time. It's been through the Aztecs, it's been through the Romans, and we find out the god has been playing tricks. You wish something, but the reverse of X happens. So if you wish for powers, it takes away your humanity and things like that. So everyone wants something, but you get something out of it in return. So Diana's wish is to bring back Steve Turner, and basically how it happens is that basically out of everyone's wish, Steve Turner is in another man's soul, but as the audience we see him in another body. So I don't know, it was strange that they just couldn't bring back Steve Turner as physical form, but I guess they kind of go, well, he's dead. So it was interesting how they did it, but I don't know, it kind of felt he was a beloved character, Steve Turner, so we better bring him back. So it'll be interesting to see if he comes back in Wonder Woman 3 or if they're going to do it a third time in a row. So yeah. So a little bit about Diana. Since Wonder Woman 1, since she's immortal, she hasn't aged or anything's happened, but she's lost, I guess, the first love of her life, even though they were only together for two weeks, and she's kind of dedicated of protecting the people, but she hasn't had time for herself or things like that. So when she finds the wishing stone, that's kind of the important thing. I guess that's kind of the main thing that the opening scene kind of suggests a bit, but it's kind of far-fetched a little bit. But yeah, Diana's kind of been, she's become an archaeologist in her job, and I guess we're supposed to believe since she's finished World War One, that's what her passion could be, but because she's immortal, time's not her enemy. She, unlike us, we age and die, but yeah, it's quite interesting. Next, let's talk about Maxis Lord for a little bit. He's somewhat the villain in the movie, and basically he's the con man, because in all of his ads, and he's a TV savant with how he speaks and things like that, but basically he's broke, and that's why he wants the wishing spells to become the Almighty, so he can basically get what he wants. But really what he wants is to make his son proud, and it's kind of the message is that, you know, the son wants him to be the father, but kind of, you know, and I guess what happens is somewhat ambiguous with, yes, so he kind of gets a little bit crazy, and he actually suffers some illness because he's taking in all the wishes, but there's somewhat a plot hole, because we got told in the movie that he can grant, well, the stone can grant one wish, and he can do one wish, but he gives other character two wishes, so that was a little bit strange that happened, so yeah. So now the next character we'll be talking about is Barbara, what is the complete opposite to Diana. She's nerdy, and the first scene we get introduced, she accidentally knocks over her suitcase and all the stuff comes out, and unfortunately no one really gives her the credit and helps, and then Diana is the first one that helps, and that's how they become friends. And then she gets abused a couple of times, what is a little bit unfair, because they make out that men are very pig-like and abusive. What, don't know if everyone was like that in the beginning. Yeah, and then basically Barbara, her wish is to become more and strong like Diana. Becomes Cheetah at the end, what somewhat felt like, because Wonder Woman needed someone to fight, because she wasn't going to fight Max Lord at the end, so it felt like they needed to give Diana someone to fight, so it looked kind of not as impressive as other things. So yeah, she's an okay character that kind of gets misguided and things like that. One scene we get introduced to is because Diane and Steve need to basically transport and hide from the raider. She says she's been learning how to make things invincible once, and then she does it, what I guess is okay, but it's a pretty cool effect, what kind of works and doesn't work, but it gave us that cool firework moment, what I thought was really impressive. And I guess the main problem is that, Steve Turner was only a World War One airplane pilot, so we had to believe that, once you're gifted at flying planes, you can fly every plane, but depends what you kind of think about that, really, because don't know if you haven't learnt 80s planes if you can just fly, but he did just press buttons, so it is what it is. And also don't know if there would be fuel in the plane at that exact time, but they needed to get to A to B, so yeah. I thought the 80s with Steve Turner fish out of water was, okay. It didn't really feel like a Wonder Woman story, like we didn't really get much character development from her, but we did get that cool moment when she did something with a wish. We kind of got more, I guess you could argue that there's not as much action or cool scenes as the first one. It is quite a long movie. It kind of feels a little bit, what do they want to do with the movie? Do they want to have Steve Turner back just for the sake of it, or, and it's kind of the opposite effect, because in the first one, she's the fish out of water in a new era, in a new place, and in the second one, he is, but that's probably the area where, did they need to do that again? I don't know, but yeah. I guess the morals in the movie is how everyone wishes, and we even get to see the badness of nukes and, people wishing for badness going on. Is that, I guess the opening scene, cutting for corners, is that, we should maybe wish inside our minds or hearts for things to be better, but just to go with the flow and just to try our best, because the movie does get preachy at the end with how, we're supposed to believe that everyone would relinquish, get rid of everyone's spell in the world, where I don't personally believe, but it's a good moral, I guess, but I think Wonder Woman 1 kind of did it better, just kind of the opposite way to number 2, because we actually fight, a god in number 1, but in number 2 it's just normal human beings. But I think they both make mistakes, but I think number 2, because it goes longer and it's not as interesting as the first one, kind of will be interesting to see what happens in Wonder Woman 3. At the final scene of the movie, Max Lord goes to the White House to try and convince the president to grant the whole world wishes, and then the president tells Max Lord that we're working on some satellite stuff that conveniently, I think, for the plot, so it can happen in the final act more than actually making sense. is basically TV, so he can do his wishing, granting, and things like that instead of logically. I don't know if that could actually happen. Someone saying stuff through a TV. I think it would be more person to person, and then so Wonder Woman can get to the final stage. She uses her lasso, and the blue lightning. What was cool effect, but I don't know if I really bought it. And then she learns how to fly because Steve Trevor said how to in her mind, and I don't know, I think you need more training how to fly than that, but more convenient things to move the plot along. I think the movie, I guess, went for too long, but the first movie went for 2 hours, and it was more enjoyable because I think the plot wasn't as preachy, and I don't know, it was a different feeling to it. It was more hope, and we wanted her to succeed, but the second one felt more, men are bad and all this stuff. It felt like a very different tone, and the 80s was cool, but I don't know if the 80s was as big part of it than World War One was, and we got a lot more epic scenes, and Wonder Woman 2, we only got 3 final thoughts. If you enjoyed the first Wonder Woman, I think you'll like the second one. Personally, I just didn't find it as good as the first one. I just think it went for longer, and unfortunately they just don't know, it just didn't feel like as good as a sequel as it could be, and unfortunately there's quite a lot of plot holes. It's still quite an enjoyable movie. I'd still recommend seeing, but it just feels, I don't know, it just doesn't feel that goodness as a lot of other sequels have been. Don't hate it, don't like it. It's very much in the middle. Going to give it a 2.5. Interesting. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. See you in the next video. Let me know your thoughts. If you disagree or agree, let me know. Comment. Thank you.